So, okay, any more advantages that they have?
No, you go ahead, Kat.
Probably a few, but let's move on.
Yeah, don't forget weaponry. But yes, you did mention that.
I did.
As for, ninjas. They're, also there's a term in, the Japanese term is known as shinobi. Technically, they're a lot more different than, obviously, than the pirates. In the sense that they don't really attack so obviously or loudly. They usually, their function is usually just espionage, infiltration, assassinations, and, but they do open combat in certain situations. They do use very old methods of waging war. Since they and the samurai, they kind of moved up throughout, the ages around the same time. While the samurai were more honor-bound, the ninjas were more the mercenaries kind of, money for hire kind of type of people where they, through their, their talents and their skills.
Yeah, and that's actually a big point to bring up. Like, today's day and age, ninjas have been romanticized to do such these cool things. They're actually... Like, they were assassins, they were mean, they were ruthless.
They were feared and they were not joked about.
Yes, they were not. Back then, if there were clans that were ninjas, and if you were to mention them, it's kind of like speaking about...
I hunt you.
Yeah.
It's kind of like gangs.
Like mafias, but, far more skillful and scary. They did have some senses of honor back then, though. There were some people that did carry some honor to the ninja, but overall they were really the ninja is really kind of obscured and difficult to determine, but for the most part their advantages, they were very theatrical in the sense they were very good actors. So a ninja's not going to come out and tell you, hey, I'm a ninja. They're going to paint a story and they're going to tell you, hey, I'm this kind of person, and then when you turn your back on them and you feel comfortable with them, they will knife you in the neck.
Or just not even talk to you and just come out of nowhere.
Yeah, but especially if they do like covert operations where they're completely undercover sort of people, they will totally psych you out in the sense where you will not expect that one person is a ninja and that they're sent to kill you.
Yeah, basically you're not going to know who's a ninja, who's not until it's too late, and even then you might even know.
Yeah, so at the same time, they have actually, yes, their weaponry is a lot more old school, in the sense they use swords, weapons, but don't forget, I like to tie in, for example, in The Dark Knight, if anybody has seen the movie, or Batman Begins.
Yes.
In Batman Begins especially, he explains, the guy who teaches Batman all about, League of Shadows, they're technically ninjas. Technically. And, they use gases and stuff like that. They use powders that cause sparks. And they're very smart in using chemical compounds to to make tear gas, to make smoke bombs, to, go around, and they are really fast. They travel in the shadows, so they're least expectable. Of course, they wear the dark clothing and everything like that. And they are ridiculously agile, where they can move, and their stealth is also incredibly amazing, where they can carry out a mission and kill a lot of people and nobody would realize that they're dead unless somebody blows off their cover. But for the most part, they're literally the killers of the night. They go, and when they do a job, they do it in silence, and that's even scarier, I think.
I think one of the best weapons that a ninja could employ for themselves was the own human mind's imagination.
Oh,
because the mind is so powerful that, you can make yourself see things that aren't really there. I mean,
right.
Dreams, obviously. I mean, why aren't we scared in dreams when we go into them? Everything's different, yet we, feel perfectly fine in a dream. And that's because the mind can trick us into thinking what's real and what's not and what's normal. And we don't, like Inception, you don't know you're in the dream till you wake up.
Right.
So, I mean, obviously they use the imagination a lot as their own weapon. And I think that was their best weapon.
They really do, since they're very shadowy and stuff, and they use a lot of kind of techniques to scare people off, and in some cases, in anime nowadays, the idea of a ninja has become ridiculously thrown about, especially with the hit anime called Naruto that started off in Japan and it exploded all over America, and thousands of people are like, I hate the show, I love the show, blah blah blah. A lot of the things they show there, like for example the hand seals that they make, it's a way of them to, the techniques that they show. And in some cases, in the old times, there are records of people, the old 14th century, 15th century, 17th, and 18th century, that they write down, that ninjas have the ability to make clones of themselves or to change their appearance immediately through means of ninjutsu and things like that. When in reality, they're magicians in their own way. They know how to throw tricks at you in your face enough to shock you and then, of course, kill you.
It's like seeing a really good play on like Broadway or something. That they can do those anywhere. Actually, a lot of stuff they set up, like they scope out a lot of times, like in an assassination, they would scope out a place. They'd get the perfect thing going on. It's like watching one of those spy movies where they set up the whole thing. It's exactly that. So things change. They just play everything off to their advantage.
So there's that. And now we have to. When you really think about it, in my opinion, I really think that ninjas, despite the fact that pirates have, yes, higher technology and weaponry, ninjas, they know how to work their entire environment to their advantage. Yeah, to their advantage, in the sense where they can make a tree scary enough to another person, or their total hideout, make someplace obviously you would never expect would be a hiding place for a ninja, and they would play around you until you're dead. So you could have a gun, you could have the fastest gun in your hand, but you are not the fastest person ever. So your reflexes, it's all depending on your reflexes, and the ninjas can manipulate that to a certain extent.
I always seem like you're walking in the woods with a group of your friends. It's like, hey, Joe, you seen Timmy? Joe? Where'd
Goodbye.
you go? Joe? What? Bam! And he's dead.
Something I want to throw out against ninjas, I guess, is our idea of ninjas should be pretty obscure. I mean, depending on the fact that why do we even know that ninjas exist? I mean, if they were so secretive, then why do we know they exist today? I mean, you can look back through history, and the Japanese did keep detailed records of everything. They recorded everything on paper and whatever they had to write with. But at the same time, if ninjas were so secretive that nobody really knew about them at the time, how do we know about them today?
Well, they really, I mean, it doesn't change the fact they use that to their business.
I love that that's to deal with a lot of the pirates, like building up their own reputation.
So, yeah.
Once again, using fear.
Well, yeah, that's true, but at the same time...
you have to know to a certain extent what is hunting you to really strike the fear in you.
Well, I mean, they obviously knew what ninjas were because, people make up tales if they ever, survive a type of attack like that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, how do we know about their methods of killing? I mean, some old schmook could have made it up and published it and been like, oh, look, this is a ninja, when they could be killing entirely differently. They could have been riding dinosaurs and sneaking through the shadows, for all we know.
Exactly.
Well,
except for the dinosaur part.
Well, I have to tell you, there's actually history, because it's not just folk tales, there are actual historical accounts of the ninja.
Well, yeah.
There are war epics such as the Tale of Hogan and the Tale of Heike, and they kind of focus mainly on the aristocratic samurai, but for the most part they do mention the ninjas themselves. Like, they explain them. People, at the same time, I mean, ninjas aren't like pirates where they try to kill every single person in the village. They take care of whoever needs to be taken care of, in my opinion.
Right.
I mean, if I'm wrong, correct me. But once they take care of that person, any witness that sees it, they could kill that witness or not. I mean, depending on how their method of, killing goes.
Well, you would think that they would kill the witness because then, they'd see how they kill and they say, well, look out for this kind of attack. And eventually, the witnesses would grow so much that they already know all the methods that a ninja uses. And so
Then again, you have to consider the fact that this is it. Like, if they strike in the cover of night, I mean, people are just waking up. They're completely like, "What's going on? What am I seeing? A monster's killing this one dude!" And at the same time, since they make themselves look like monsters to their victims, it's not like one person's gonna see this entire attack and be like, "Oh, I totally understand. There's a ninja attacking my family. I completely understand what's going on. Oh, it seems he is using a diagonal slash on my father over his chest."
No, it's more of like he's using this kind of technique, not really the.
So, like, I doubt. I mean, and not to mention they work fast. They don't take very long time to do this. So the faster something happens, the less it really registers in people.